So is there any chance you do want to make out on camera? You should have seen what they were doing when no one was watching.
Hey, don't tell on us.
There's something special between you and me, and all the females in recovery. Let's show them how easy the steps can be. Let's get together and make the big book sexy. I wanna spread your pages, I wanna bend your spine, I wanna show you something big. It's this blue book of mine. I know what just friends. Doesn't mean we can't make the myths. Let's take it slow and keep it clean. Hold me as I read page 417. Let's make the big book sexy. Let's make the big book sexy. Let's make the big book sexy. Let's make the big book sexy.
Welcome back, giving the people what they want. More ladies on the Recovery Idiot. Please like and subscribe and all that crap. And tell your friends to check out therecoveryidiot.com, where you can find more videos. You can find songs. You can find little commercials to put us on Facebook or put us on TikTok, put us on MySpace. It doesn't matter. Just put us somewhere and help spread the word that there is a solution, even for people like us. When I say people like us, I mean drug addicts who have recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body by working the steps of this book. Speaking of drug addicts, who the hell are you?
My name is Amanda, and I am a grateful recovering trash can.
Yeah. Yes, you look very familiar. I think you're part of my home group.
Yeah, I am.
And I have heard you speak. I have seen you on Juggalos in Recovery. You look like you're about to visit your husband in prison with that haircut. But besides looking like a convict, I know you play an important part of lives in the recovery community with the place that you work. Before we get into that, how the hell did you get here?
I was born in Virginia, moved down to Florida with my mom and my sister when I was 10 years old. At that age, I had an aunt die. To cope with that, I had older friends that smoked weed, and at 10 years old, I stared smoking weed.
Wow, that was an early starter.
Very, very
Congratulations.
early start. Thank you. And I just stayed, smoking for years, but I moved into a condo with my mom, had some really good friends in that neighborhood, went to middle school. This was all in Seminole County, which is my stomping grounds.
What the hell is that? What city is in Seminole County that people know?
So it's like Castleberry, Altamont Springs, Sanford, Longwood area.
Where the Amtrak station is, that's
Yes,
Sanford. Oh my God.
yes.
I would do drugs too if I lived there.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
It sucked. So I lived out there for like 23 years of my life. My curfew was like the light coming on, the street lights coming on. So my mom didn't care what I did. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have anything growing up. So I would run the streets with my friends and just party all night. My mom was an alcoholic. It's funny because I just talked to my childhood friend 2 nights ago about this. I said, remember that night when my mom didn't come home and we walked to the Don Pablo's parking lot and she was in her car with the engine running and the windows rolled down and she was passed out drunk? And she goes, oh my God. Yes, I remember that.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, growing up, I have those fond memories of my mom getting drunk and partying. So I thought that was like the normal thing, right? Fast forward, a couple years, I drop out of high school. I'm partying with my friends. I don't care where I'm at, what I'm doing. As long as I am not home, I don't have to take care of my little sisters. As long as I'm not home, I'm partying. At the age of 16, I moved out of my mom's house and into my dad's. And my dad was also an alcoholic, and I didn't like being home with him either. So at 17, I move out of there. It was funny because my dad goes, you want anything from the store? And I said, no, I'll be gone by the time you get back. Don't get me anything. And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, I'm leaving. And he said, no, you're not. Quit playing. What do you want from the store? I said, don't get me nothing because I will be gone when you get back. He stupidly leaves the house. And I call my boyfriend as soon as he leaves, and he pulls up. I put my bag in the car, hug my sister, and I leave. I stayed in Orlando until I turned 18. And while I was there, my boyfriend was a producer. He made music, so we would be in the studio all night, partying, doing coke. His mom had severe health issues, and she got prescribed liquid morphine.
Oh, that's not common.
No, it's not. So we were up all night in the studio doing coke and putting liquid morphine in our drink and sipping on that. It was just crazy. I ended up leaving him for his best friend. I got married to his best friend like a month after leaving him.
What season of Maury Povich was this on?
It wasn't. It should have been. Yeah, it was just crazy. I wanted to have, the white picket fence with the house, with the family. I stopped doing drugs because he wasn't on drugs. I stopped. One night I had to go to the hospital. I had a cyst rupture in my ovaries. Found out that I had 10 cords of blood filling in my stomach. I almost died that night. And then after the fact, I went to a couple of doctors and I was told by 3 or 4 doctors that I could not have kids. And that broke me and my husband up. He started becoming a little verbally abusive towards me because he wanted that family and I could not provide that for him. I wanted to party from that point on. I did not care about my life. I did not care about anything else. I just wanted to party. So I'd stay couch hopping for years, years at this point, just going from friend to friend and doing acid and Molly and mushrooms and anything that you can possibly do. I put in my body and I loved it and I wanted more of it. People say you can't get addicted to acid, but ask a fucking addict. Okay? I wanted more. That
So
one time was not
time-consuming,
enough.
though. I mean, I got to spend 12 hours tripping my ass off. I mean, it's a serious commitment.
It is a serious commitment,
I
I wanted to do it every fucking night.
I was going to night school, and this kid had a bottle of liquid, and I actually didn't believe him because he always was selling fake drugs. And he gave me like 2 or 3 little drops, and I licked it. And I was like, nothing's going to happen. Well, things got really weird when I got home. And then I had to spend the rest of the night committed to it. You can't just turn acid off.
No, you can't, unfortunately. Actually, I had a friend one time. I was at the party house in Seminole County. This guy woke me up. He put a drop of acid on my head, and when I woke up, I was tripping balls. I was like, "What the fuck am I on?" And then all my friends left me, and then it was a bad trip, and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, those suck.
It did suck. Fast forward a little bit, about 24, I am rolling on Molly, still couch surfing. I sleep with one of my friends. You know how that happens. One thing leads to another. We're having a good time, and then bam. And then I get pregnant.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I got pregnant and moved in with my dad. That time, my dad was one of the biggest coke dealers in Seminole County. I had my daughter, and as soon as I had my daughter, I would steal coke from him, not give a shit about my child that I just brought into this world. I would leave her at my dad's house. So not only was he on coke, but he was drinking, so I don't know if my daughter was even being taken care of properly. I just left her there. I had no concern about that. It got to the point where I was working at Circle K, stealing money from the cash register, doing stupid ass shit that I could be in jail.
night shift?
I was working day shift.
Oh, because it's usually the interesting people work the night shift when you go into a 7-Eleven or Circle K.
Yeah.
You don't expect the day shift person to be coked up and stealing. But
Oh,
hey.
no. And working at Circle K, I met some interesting people.
Yes.
And one of them turned into my boyfriend. I don't know what it was, if it was the way that he looked or if it was his dope lean in the line that attracted me to him. But something said that one. So I went to that one. I moved in with him. He introduced me to heroin, which became my life. I remember my daughter was like 2.5, walking around, and one morning she walked into the bedroom, and I was dope sick. I couldn't get out of bed, and she was crying that she was hungry, and I could not get out of bed. But as soon as the dope man called, that he had it, we were up and out of bed and ready to go.
I always use that as an example of a power greater than myself when I'm trying to explain things to people, that you can be completely unwilling to get out of bed, blink your eyes, you can't do it. But once you have that promise of there's drugs at the end of this mission, I suddenly find a power greater than myself to get up and trudge across Jacksonville like I would do, trudge across Kansas City, because I know I'm going to get that promise of getting high.
Yep.
And I always use that as an example. Just imagine using that higher power for good. That's the point now.
That's the whole point, right?
It's a different set of promises, but it works the same way.
It is. I tried it across from Seminole County all the way to Orlando to get it. And I was in and out of hospitals trying to get clean off of heroin. I didn't have insurance, so I would go up to the Seminole County Hospital and tell them that I was suicidal and I needed help. I would go there for 3 days and then they let me out. And I'd go right back to doing what I was doing, because I went because I was sick and I didn't have the money, or I didn't have, my dope man didn't have anything, and I didn't have anything to calm what was going on inside, right? So I went there like 4 or 5 times saying that I was suicidal and I need help. I'd get out. I tried this like placebo pill. It was a study that was happening a long time ago, like 15 years ago. It was like a placebo pill, and you would take it and come in and they pay you cash, or they pay you a check. I'd go and get the check cashed, and then I'd go and get heroin and cocaine, and then I'd do it all over again. So that happened for a while, and until I got tired of it. I got tired of the lies from my boyfriend. I got tired of always arguing over drugs. It was really stupid. I remember one time I was sick and he was up cleaning the house, and he yelled at me to get up out of bed and help him clean. And I said, "Give me some dope and I'll get up." And he said, "I don't have any." And I said, "You're a fucking liar. Like, if you didn't have any, you'd be in bed with me. Like, the fuck?" So I called him out on it, and he was so mad at me for a very long time. And I got up to go and smoke a cigarette outside, and he comes outside, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking down smoking, and on the top of his sock, I see a little piece of a baggie sticking out. And I said, let me talk to you inside for a second. So he goes inside, and I said, "You ain't got nothing?" He said, "No." I said, "You sure?" And he said, "Yeah, I promise." And he said, "I wouldn't lie to you. I love you." And I said, I bent down and I pulled his sock down, and the fucking baggie fell out. And I was like, "You're a fucking piece of shit." It was great. And then when he finally did give me a line, it was the tiniest little thing that you can ever give somebody. I was so mad. At that point, I said, "You know what? I'm done." I asked my mom if I can come in and move in with her. I promised her that I wanted to get clean. I wanted to stop. I detoxed at my mom's house off of heroin. It was the worst detox I have ever gone through. I did not have medication. I did not have anything. I remember my mom coming in and trying to hug me, and I did not want to be touched.
It feels like your bones are breaking and you're hot and cold.
Yeah, the hot chills, the cold sweats, the my skin crawling. I did not want to be touched, and I did it though. I got clean from the heroin, but as soon as I got clean from the heroin, I started using cocaine and crack. So I started doing coke and crack, and my mom found out. One of my sister's friends told on me. She was over at the house, and the night before, I had asked her if she had any cash, and she said, "What for?" And I was like, "I want to go get high," like a dumbass. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a Friday morning. I went outside. I was smoking my morning bowl of weed. I never stopped smoking weed, by the way. So I was outside smoking my morning bowl. I went back inside to put it away, grab my cigarette, and grab my phone so I can figure out how I was going to get high that day. Next thing you know, police cars were pulling up. My mom comes outside, and I was like, "Mom, why are the cops here?" And she starts backing up towards the door, and I charge at her. I'm like, "What the fuck, you fucking bitch? Why'd you call the cops?"
She called the cops on you?
She called the cops on me. So she told me later that she tried to Marchman Act me, but she didn't do it right. So the cops ran up, put me in handcuffs, because I was going to hurt my mom. She let them search my bedroom.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was great. So they searched my room. Their main focus was my dresser area. They did not look in my closet. If they would have looked in my closet, they would have found a needle. But they just searched the dresser area. I was charged with 7 counts of drug equipment. I did not have any drugs because I did them the night before. Empty straws, empty baggies, just drug equipment. So like I said, it was a Friday morning. I went to jail, sat in jail over the weekend. Come Monday morning, I saw the judge, and the judge gave me 2 options. I could either go to prison for 2 years.
Jesus, just for paraphernalia?
Just for paraphernalia, yeah. Or I can go to a 6-month-long, it was an all-women's facility, with a year of probation running concurrent with an ankle monitor.
Oh my God.
Because my mom told them that I was a runner. She wrote the judge a letter saying that if she lets me out, I was going to run. I mean, she did not lie. I was going to run. I was like, you know what? I just might learn something. Give me the rehab. I went back to jail and waited for a bed at this facility for 3 months. I did have a bond. The judge put my bond at $100,000 with a Nivea hold. For those who don't know what a Nivea hold is that where you have to prove that the money came from a paycheck and it was not street money. So $10,000 to get me out, I was not getting out. So I sat in jail for about 3 months waiting for a bed. Finally got my bed. I went to the facility. Within my first week there, my mom somehow told them that my insurance was about to time out and I really needed to get my teeth removed to get dentures. They allowed me to leave property with my mom to go to this dental facility and get all of my teeth removed. I sat for, it was 1 day. I went and got every single tooth pulled out of my mouth and then had to go back with a prescription for ibuprofen 800 because I was at the treatment center. So they could not give me anything more than that.
So I've had like 13 teeth pulled in the past year. I thought I was a badass because I got 9 pulled out of one teeth and just had ibuprofen 800. So you won. Congratulations. Oh my God.
It sucked so bad. But fast forward, like my daughter would come and visit me at the facility every weekend. I did have a good time there. I met some friends. One of them I actually still talk to this day. I graduate the facility, go back and I see the judge. The judge did the dumbest fucking thing she could have ever done for me.
She let you go?
She let me off of probation 6 months early, waived my probation fees and waived my court fees, and I walked out of there a free woman, went to the probation office, got the ankle monitor taken off of me, and relapsed that night.
Who could have seen that coming?
You know, I say this all the time, but, you know, rock bottom has a basement. And I decided to kick that door in and try it out. I relapsed that night. I figured, you know, it's just weed. Who cares? It's a God-made plant. Like, who cares? And then it triggered something in my brain that said, go smoke crack. So I went and I smoked crack.
See, I say it all the time. I'm not one of those people that can smoke weed, you know, California sober, because when I smoke weed, I start remembering how much I love Xanax and heroin at the same time.
Yep.
But I just say it. I never heard anyone actually do it. You smoked weed and smoked crack. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's me.
It is a gateway drug.
It's a gateway drug. I'm smoking crack, and I run into an old friend from high school that has been traveling the country via hitchhiking. We're hanging out almost every single day, and then, you know, he becomes my boyfriend. He said, you know, I gotta go visit my grandmother up in Buffalo, New York. Do you want to come with me? I was like, how the hell are we going to get up there? He said, I'll buy us tickets. And I said, why don't we just fucking hitchhike? And he goes, I love you. I give my car to my mom. She gave me a Cadillac before I went into treatment, but I ruined that. I gave the car back to my mom. I gave my daughter to my mom. And on May 19th of 2016, I decided that I was going to go hitchhiking. May 19th is my mom's birthday. That's why I remember the exact date. She said, if you leave, I am done. I'm done with you. And I said, okay. I'm like, bye. I'm done with you too. Like, that's why I'm leaving. And I walk out of the state of Florida with flip-flops and a one-strap backpack. Don't do that. We get up to Buffalo, New York.
Did you actually hitchhike there?
We did. We
So
hitchhiked.
people actually picked you up and gave you
People
rides.
actually picked
I
us
didn't
up.
know that really existed anymore.
Yeah. So the people who picked us up, they either wanted to know what we were doing, why we were doing it, they wanted to help somebody, or they've always wanted to do it themselves and never had the balls to just drop everything and go.
Sounds.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. While I was in North Carolina, I discovered meth again. I threw my crack pipe in the woods. I was like, I don't need you anymore, and I threw it. It was great. We get up to Buffalo, New York. We stay there for about a month. I'm doing landscaping with him. We find a job with this guy. He wanted to just hire me, and I was like, you're gonna hire my boyfriend too. Like, I'm not just gonna go with you to do this. So he hires him too, and we're remulching beds and making about $150 a day a piece. And we save up that money, and we come back down to Florida, and we say goodbye to our friends and family, and we go cross-country hitchhiking. We are going up and down zigzag through the states. About halfway through, this guy that I was hitchhiking with became extremely abusive towards me. Mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually. You name it, he said it, he's done it. If I was not in the mood, he would choose any hole he wanted and take it. He one time hit me in the ribs with a gallon water jug, the one with the handle on top. He swung it at me and hit me in the ribs. I kept telling him I wanted to go home, and he would somehow convince me to stay with him, and he would take me back home when we're done hitchhiking.
So you're basically just a hostage now. It's not hitchhiking anymore.
It's not hitchhiking anymore. He forced me to make the camp, break down the camp. I would be the top person to panhandle and get money. I would go and get the food. He told me the road was going to be hard, and he taught me how to live outside. That's one thing that I am grateful for, that he taught me how to do.
So when the apocalypse comes, it's just going to be cockroaches and you.
Yeah.
Because you know how to survive
Yeah,
on the
I
outside.
can survive outside. It's pretty awesome. I told my mom, you're going to want to stick with me, man. So we make it all the way out to California, and we go up to Oregon. In 2016 in Oregon, in the fall, there was wildfires out there, like major. So the air quality was not very well, but I was there during that time. And we're going back down into California, and we get to Chico. He put his hands on me for the last time. I said, you know what? I don't care where I'm at in the United States. I will get back to Florida when I get back to Florida. Fuck you. I love me more than you could ever love me. And I left him. I took one hitchhike by myself from Chico to Sacramento and realized how dangerous it was to hitchhike alone as a female. I get to Sacramento, and my first night there, I'm like, this is a breeze. This is easy shit. Like, I was sitting outside of a McDonald's. One person walks up and hands me a box of pizza. One person walks up and hands me $20. And then this homeless guy walks up with a bag of tobacco, and he's like, hey, you smoke tobacco? I was like, no. Or I said, yeah. And he goes, here, hands me a big ass bag of tobacco with rolling papers. And I was like, you know where to get any shit? And he said, fuck yeah, follow me. And he led me to the levee, and I did not leave the levee for 6 months. At that point, I did not know where the store was. I had built a camp with tarps around it for privacy. I made friends out there. Friends.
So were there other people living in this area?
Oh my gosh. I wish, I could show you a video of the homeless community in Sacramento off of the levee. It is atrocious how many people are out there. Thousands of homeless people.
Really?
Thousands. There's a community out there. The only thing that we did not have was mail delivery. We had trash pickup. We had everything out there. I didn't have to leave. People would go and get me groceries, and I would trade them dope for groceries. When I had stuff and I needed dope, I would trade my stuff for dope. Like, we had a barter system out there. It It was absolutely insanity.
It sounds awesome though, in an insane way, but
It was. I mean, I didn't want to leave. My first year out there was a park ranger. His name is Sergeant Andrew Nelson. He bought me a bus ticket home my first year out there. Told me that I did not deserve to be out there. I said, who the fuck are you to tell me what I deserve? Like, you don't know me. First time he met me, he put me in handcuffs because my mom had a missing persons out on me. Because I didn't talk to her for almost a year at this point. I said, take the fucking cuffs off me. Call the bitch. Let her know that I'm alive. Like, leave me the fuck alone. I want to do my drugs in peace. Leave me alone. But he came back the next day and brought me a bus ticket. I did not get on the bus because I was not ready to leave. I wanted to endure more pain, right? So I'm out there, and fast forward 2 years, I was raped out there. I was drugged and raped. Dumpster diving every single night for cans and bottles because they have a CRV. So I would make my money that way. I remember one time the Rangers came to my other camp. Every time the Rangers came, I moved. But the Rangers came to one of my camps one day and they said, who's your John? I said, who the fuck is John? So out there, they used the word John for pimp.
like Jon or JAWN.
I didn't even ask. I was just
Because
like...
in Philly, John is like a different thing, but whatever.
Yeah.
Ask Wayne. So they asked, who's your John?
They asked, who's my John? And I said, who the fuck is John? And they said, well, that's a pimp. And I said, I don't have a pimp. Are you kidding me? He's like, well, how are you getting your drugs? And I said, I dumpster dive. And they're like, you do what? I said, there's a CRV. So I collect cans and bottles and I bring them to the CRV and I make my money that way. And that's how I get my drugs. I moved to this one camp after I got arrested for like the third time out there for drugs. They put me on a no-see order, which basically means if they see me, they can stop me and search me. A search and seizure and a stay away order from a certain part of the bike trail and the camps. So I moved to an area where the park rangers couldn't mess with me and neither could the cops because it was private property. I got permission from the owner to be there as long as I helped not allow people to jump over the fence to go into the apartment complex.
So you're like a security guard.
Almost.
Over there to protect the property while you're squatting in a tent.
Yeah, without getting paid.
Sounds
but
fair.
It was fair. I mean, I'm living on the land, so I can do that. So I stayed there for a year and a half. Did not get messed with by the cops. Did not get messed with by the Rangers. I had it made. I made my own like castle out there. I had a chain link fence. Somebody dropped off a chain link fence in front of my camp and left it there. And I waited. I waited for like 2 months before I put it up until somebody was like, hey, that's mine. Nobody did that. So I was like, okay, that's mine now. So I put it up myself, set up booby traps, which you're not supposed to do. But I set up booby traps and I had a vicious dog. So if you came into my camp, you were getting your ass ate up. At the end of a neighborhood, right? So it's like a cul-de-sac and then there's a rock cul-de-sac and then there's like private property right there. I'm riding through the neighborhood and usually I don't go through the neighborhood. I go around the neighborhood so I can go to the gas station. But at this point, I'm hearing voices. People are after me. People don't want me there because I smell bad. Because I dumpster dive every day and I live outside. I'm going through the neighborhood and I find $120 on the ground. And I was like, I'm buying a bus ticket home. Because at this point, I wanted to go home. I had journals writing every single day when I wasn't high that I wanted to leave Sacramento. Why am I still here? I'm such a bad mom. Why can't I stop doing drugs? I just want to leave and I want to change my life. So I buy a bus ticket and I could never get on the bus. I wanted to surprise my mom for her birthday. Her birthday, like I said, was May 19th. So I bought the ticket like a month or two prior. One, I never had enough drugs to go. It was a 3-day trip with no drugs on the bus. You got me fucked up. So I wanted
If you're
to.
taking a Greyhound, I'm pretty sure you can find drugs on the bus, though.
Yeah, but I didn't think about that. I was like, I got to make sure I have enough, right, to take this trip.
Well, of course, any responsible drug addict would do that.
Yeah, I could never do it. And I was never able to say goodbye to my friends out there. Like, after being out there 3.5 years, you make friends. Mind you, my May 19th passes, and I'm like, well, shit, might as well get high, you know? I'm riding through a neighborhood and my bike cart breaks. The axle fell off. This woman, her name is Cherie. Every time I share my story, she is a huge part of my story. She is my angel sent from God. Cherie stops as I'm fixing my bike cart and I have bags of cans and bottles sitting next to me. She goes, hey, are you homeless? And the homeless side of me wanted to be like, no, bitch. Like, I just like to sit here with trash on the side of the road. But something said, be nice. So I was like, yeah, I'm homeless. So Amanda came out and she started asking me questions and she said, do you have family? And I said, yeah, I have a mom and a daughter in Florida. And as soon as I told her that I had a daughter in Florida, she said, what are you doing? Daughter needs her mother. What are you doing? And I said, I don't know. I'm on drugs. I can't stop. I want to stop, but I can't stop. She then asked me for my Facebook. I did not have a phone for 4 years, but I had a Facebook. On that Facebook, it said who my mom was, who my dad was, stuff like that. My family members listed. I gave her my Facebook information. She found my mom, and she messaged her and said, hey, I know your daughter. She's using drugs. She wants to stop. And my mom basically was like, if you can help her, help her. I've tried everything I could. My mom basically gave up at that point. And
I think a lot of people know that feeling.
oh yeah they got to do what they have to do in order to keep their peace. And it's not up to them for you to change your life. It's up to you to change your life. At that point, my thing is fixed. I take off. She knows where my camp is. She comes to my camp. She's bringing me supplies, blankets, food, whatever she thinks that I need for a couple of weeks. Come June, I'm hearing voices really bad now, to the point where everyone passing me is talking shit about me. My camp was at a bottom of a hill. So at the top of the hill, there was a main highway, and every car that passed by my camp was talking shit, and I can hear them passing by going 60 miles an hour with their windows up. So it was really bad. The psychosis is real, and you could not tell me otherwise. Come June, I get into a fight with my boyfriend out there. I think that he is dragging me or trying to get me to go back to my camp because there were people there that I didn't know and they were going to kill me. So I punch him in the face and I take off on my bike. Because I had bought a bus ticket a couple months before, I was riding around with my bike cart with suitcases on my bike cart, ready to go at any point.
That stuff looked so insane.
It was
All the
so
time
crazy.
You riding around like that.
So crazy. For a month and a half, I rode around with a suitcase, a couple of suitcases on my bike cart, and then I'd cover it with a trash bag that I found in the trash so I wouldn't get my suitcases dirty. That was my logical thinking. I was riding around Sacramento for 2-3 hours. I heard God, and God told me, go to Cherie's, clear as day. And I obeyed. I said, okay. And I went. I fell asleep in her driveway in between her trash cans and my bike cart. In the morning, she comes outside already talking on the phone with my mom and wakes me up, hands me the phone, and says, my mom said, are you done? And I said, yeah. She said, you finally hit rock bottom? I said, Mom, I fucking face dove. She said, are you ready to come home? And I said, yes. My stepdad was on a flight that morning from Port St. Lucie, Florida, like all the way to Sacramento, and picked me up. I fell asleep in her backyard. She did not let me leave her backyard because she knew I was going to run. Mm-hmm. No matter the excuse I came up with that I forgot something at my camp, I was going to go hide in the woods. So she did not let me leave, and I fell asleep in her backyard. And she took a picture of that day and sent it to my mom. When my stepdad got there, he picked me up and he took me back to my camp. I said to my boyfriend there, I'm leaving. He said, what are you talking about? I said, my stepdad is in a rental car right out front of the camp and I'm leaving. No, he's not. I said, yes, he is. And I need a shot to go. And so he made me up a shot. And I took it with me to the hotel. And we get to the hotel and I take the first bath that I have taken in 4 years.
Oh, that water must have looked like chocolate milk.
Well, so I had a handmade shower out there, but
Of course.
I didn't like have a bathtub. I'd take a bath and I'm in there for like 3 or 4 hours. Every time the water got cold, I'd drain it and fill it back up. And my stepdad honestly thought I was dead. He called my mom and was like, I think she's dead in there. While I was in there, I tried to take my last shot and my body physically would not let me take it. So I dumped it. I squirted it out, threw the needle away, and I said, all right, you want me done? I'm done. I go to sleep and wake up in the morning and I catch a flight from Sacramento back to Orlando.
Is there any like detoxing from meth besides being tired and depressed? Like, is there any physical withdrawals or anything?
No, so meth is more like a mental obsession than a physical addiction. And it's weird to say that because I felt like I had a physical addiction to it, but you really don't. You have some anxiety, you want to sleep, and you want to eat. I slept
Really?
and I ate for months.
So kicking meth is easier than kicking heroin.
Yes.
Okay, I'll remember that next time.
I will slap you.
Oh, I can't stand meth.
So I get back home and I start changing my life for the better. I did shave my head when I got back home. I said, new beginning, new me, and I'm shaving my head.
Let me be like Britney Spears. She got her shit together. Let me try it.
Yeah, go crazy a little bit. So I walked around, Orlando looking like a toothless, bald alien because I had no teeth and I shaved my head.
Oh, you never actually got the dentures?
So I did get the dentures, but my dog, when I was hitchhiking, bit down on them and broke them. I changed my life for the better. I started, getting clean and staying on the couch. I remember when I first saw my daughter, my mom didn't let me talk to my daughter for the 3.5 years that I was gone. 4 years technically, because it took 6 months to travel out to California. But my mom didn't let me talk to her because I was always high. And she said, you're not going to talk to her high. So the first time that I seen her when I got back, it was on a video call. And when I poked my head into the screen, she goes, Mommy! It was the most precious thing ever. She remembered who I was, and she missed the hell out of me. And I used to say that I don't deserve that. I have since forgiven myself, and I know that I deserve her love, but it was very hard for me to do. I moved into a friend's house in Seminole County, in Sanford.
Home of George Zimmerman.
Lord Jesus. I moved into their house not knowing that they were still in active addiction. I went there to help them with their kids. The male that I was there with, he got into a motorcycle accident, broke his pelvis, so...
Painkillers.
No, it was crack. It was crack.
I've never taken crack for pain. Does it work?
I guess so, because he was zooming. I didn't know at first that they were doing that. Their kids weren't listening, drawing on the walls, bouncing all over the place, and I was like, guys, y'all need to come get them. Like, I don't know what to do with them. Like, I've never raised kids, not even my own, so I don't know. When I knock on their door, they open it and pull me inside, close it, and hand me a loaded crack pipe. I said, what the fuck are y'all doing? And I walk out, and I make a couple phone calls. I call my friend Amanda, which she calls her cousin, and her cousin calls her best friend that went to the Oxford house here in Port St. Lucie. She said, call them. So I called them. And I did an emergency interview, got accepted in, and moved in 3 days later. I've been out here since. It's been amazing. The first year, I rode my bike to work. I worked at Perkins Restaurant with no teeth in my mouth, but it was in 2020, so it was COVID. So I had to wear a mask, so nobody knew I had no teeth.
I loved wearing a mask during COVID because my teeth, I still have problems, but they were so bad.
Yeah.
And I got to say, people that ride bikes for a year. I highly encourage, no matter who you are, what walk of life you are, go to a halfway house, ride a bike. Because it is the most humbling experience you can ever go through. And when life gets bad, you start thinking back, well, at least I'm not on that bike again.
Exactly.
It makes such a difference.
Exactly. So I did that. I rode a bike to work from the Oxford House to Perkins. And it was at least a almost 10-mile ride each way. I did that for a while, and then I moved out of the sober living, moved in to my mom's house. At this point, I had been building trust with her. I got a job at the eye doctor's office. I knew every single aspect of that store. I could do front desk. I could do contact lens specialist, everything. And I saved up enough money to buy teeth. I bought the ones I have in my mouth right now.
Yes, I've spent $10,000 so far on this.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I'd rather buy cool stuff with that money, like a car that's worth more than $200. But I wouldn't be sitting here today looking at a camera if I had my old teeth. So it is an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I bought the teeth that I have, and I decided after I had a year of dry clean, I was going to work in treatment. So I got my first treatment job. I absolutely loved it. They had me on night shifts. I didn't really like that. So I found another job that had day shift available. So I went there, and I was telling them about like doing the 12 steps and like you should really focus on a 12-step program when you get out of here. Join AA, join NA, join DAA, find a sponsor and do the steps so that way you can stay clean.
Just like you did, right?
No. So, like I said, I was dry clean. I was just white knuckling it for almost 4 years. I've focused myself on my career for a long time. I smile every day, but it didn't mean that I was happy. I smiled because I was grateful that I was no longer living the life that I was before. All my clients would ask me, why are you always so smiley? And I tell them I'm grateful.
I'm not living in a tent.
I'm not living in a tent. I'm grateful that I have toilet paper. I'm grateful that I have this, and I'm not living the way that I was before. I'm grateful that I'm not on drugs anymore. I finally found a meeting that I really, really enjoy going to, which is our home group.
Oh, yes, the new Freedom Group of Drug Addicts Anonymous.
Yes.
We meet Saturday nights at 7:30 in Port St. Lucie. Why do I have this memorized? Because I say it all the time.
Every Saturday. I absolutely love that meeting, and I found a sponsor. I absolutely love her. We went through the steps in a month, less than a month actually. Me and her both agreed that somehow, God willing, I was living the steps without actually taking the steps. Like God had me do so many things to change every aspect of my life, and I've always had God in my life. I just walked away from him for a while. I made my amends. I've been working, with helping other people get clean. I was living the steps. So when it came time to do my steps, I had one person that I had to make amends to,
No, you're one of the lucky ones, but I know I waited a year.
Yeah,
and
thank
I
God.
was in the same position. Life was good. I was sober. I had money. I was functioning, but then I started to get miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to get that weird, restless, irritable, and discontent they mentioned so much.
Mm-hmm.
But things changed when I worked the steps.
Yep.
Things finally made sense. And congratulations on making it 4 years, because I don't think anyone else would have.
Yeah, it was absolute insanity. There was something in my heart that I could not forgive myself what I did to my daughter. And after working the steps and forgiving myself, I don't feel that way anymore. I now have 2 sponsees that are working their steps. One of them is almost done. One just started today. And it's an amazing feeling to be able to help another person.
It's like watching your kids grow up when they go through the steps.
Yeah.
It is an amazing feeling. I've experienced it once or twice, not very often because mine all suck, but it is amazing when it does happen.
Yeah, it's truly amazing.
So welcome to this edition of Tent Talk. I am your host, Leroy. Today we have 2 very special guests who have some information about living in tents. Where was your tent located, Amanda?
My camp was located in Sacramento, California, but I was out there for 3.5 years, so I had multiple places in the woods where I would set up my camp.
And Brittany, where was your tent located?
Jefferson County, Missouri.
Wasn't it in a trailer park?
Somewhat.
And Amanda, describe what your tent looked like.
So I had multiple tents in my one camp area. One was my sleeping tent, which had multiple blankets piled on in it so it would be comfortable. And one of the tents was my changing tents, and good luck finding any clothes in there.
Brittany, what was your tent like?
Mine was just a regular camping tent in somebody's backyard. Well, front yard. I didn't have a dressing room, though. Kind of jealous.
So Amanda, what kind of bathroom did your tent have?
Oh my goodness. So I found one of those old lady potty chairs, and I set it up in the woods, and every time I had to go to the restroom, I would bring a plastic bag with me and set it up under the chair and use the bathroom there. And then I had a huge water jug with a spigot in the front that I used for a shower. And I would place tarps around so I can wash my body.
Brittany, what kind of facilities did your tent have?
I was able to, have the luxury of going into the house to use the restroom and take a shower. But I have used a bucket a few times in some sheds.
Amanda, do you have any pets?
I had a kitten that I found. And she was all white and adorable. She was abandoned by her mother. And I also had 2 dogs. One's name was Wolverine, and the other one was Nala. Wolverine was vicious.
Brittany, did you have a pet?
No, at that point I was leaving my dog with my parents, with my dad. It was too hot outside for him.
Brittany, what was the most interesting thing you saw while in your tent?
Okay, so I was in the tent with this guy, and we were having like a Dr. Phil session on this chick that he was, dating for years, and like nothing was happening between us, and we're having like a Dr. Phil talk, right? And then she's driving back and forth in this truck up and down the road, and I was like, this girl's gonna come and she's gonna run this tent over. She's gonna run me over because I can't be aware of my surroundings because the little windows were closed in the tent. And so then that was my decision. I need to get out of here. So I went walking for like 5 miles. In the middle of the night. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Like there's like mountain lions and stuff where I'm at, but I took off walking. And then I went to rehab 2 days later.
So I was in my tent one night, and I was hearing a male and a female whispering. And I could hear, "What do you think she's doing in there?" And I had a crossbow, and I would shoot out of my tent. I would say, on the count of 3, I'm going to shoot. 1, 2, and then I'd shoot. And I had holes all over my tent, and there was nobody out there.
Brittany, would you like to respond with any insane tent stories?
Amazing. You're also a meth addict and once had an experience with a crossbow.
I did.
Really?
That wasn't in the tent though. But I mean, my thing is like I remember like I was looking at this guy that I was talking to, and I was like, I gotta go. Like I can't be in the middle of your love spat or whatever. And then all of a sudden, because I'm hallucinating, like his face just starts changing, and I took off running. I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Oh,
and that's how my 5-mile walk in the middle of the night started.
Oh my goodness.
I eventually got a ride from a cop later on down the road to Walmart.
So would you two have any advice for the younger generation looking to start a productive life in a tent?
Don't do it.
Go to rehab.
I gotta say, honestly, nothing has made me want to stay away from meth more than listening to the two of you talk about your adventures.
You're welcome.
So is there any chance you two want to make out on camera? You should have seen what they were doing when no one was watching.
Hey, don't tell on us.
That video will be available on OnlyFans.
So my life today is like living a dream. I could never imagine this when I was homeless. I focus on my goals and my career. I do have some advice. I don't know if anybody knows about the 3-year plan. People say 1 year at least get your steps done and focus on yourself for a year. I say 3 years. Focus on yourself for the first year. Focus on making your goals and what you want to do with your life. And then the 3rd year, put it all into action. Put your goals into action and see everything that you've ever wanted start happening right in front of your eyes before you start getting into relationships.
Very good advice. Staying away from relationships.
Staying away from relationships.
If only somebody told me that. Oh, wait, they did. And then I did it anyway. And my first year was about getting sober. My second year was about almost getting diabetes because I got so fat. So
I feel that.
yeah, that's how you know when life gets good. You know, you can tell your mom, honestly, I'm not doing drugs. And she knows because you got fat.
Well, the cool thing about telling people that you're not doing drugs is you don't have to say anything to anybody. It's not your words, it's your actions.
Yes.
So when you are working a program and you are working, you know, on bettering your life, people notice that
They
shit.
can just tell.
They can. People notice it. It's been 4 years and I'm still single, so...
All right. Well, if you're interested, you can send any inquiries to
Don't send them.
send your stats, your salary, where you live, what kind of car you drive to therecoveryidiot@gmail.com, and we'll work on hooking Amanda up.
Oh, Lord.
No penis pictures, you sick fucks.
Yeah, please, no. You'll get denied immediately.